You're listening to another episode of Mad Men Sports.
We're back.
Well, two of us are back. Zach,
I killed my brother.
did you on some Cain and Abel type?
I was sick last week. I'm back, ladies and gentlemen, and my brother got what I got.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to know that like how sicknesses stay within the family because I'm not sick. I'm
My
perfectly fine.
mom's sick. He's sick. Everyone else is annoying to us, and other than that, we're good to go. But Zach will hopefully be back next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start wearing a FEMA suit. I do not want to get sick.
Corona hit the Mad Men family.
No,
I almost gave our last name out.
It's not Corona. It's not. It's just the common flu. Don't scare people. We don't know how it's spread yet.
Thoughts and prayers with Zach. That'll fix him. He'll be healthy tomorrow because we said that.
Yeah, we're not going to stop here. We had a lot to talk about today. We have Shaq Lawson preliminary talks with the Buffalo Bills in terms of a contract, which me personally, I'm very excited to kind of give Shaq Lawson a new contract. I like what I saw from him last year, and I think he's proved himself a contract, maybe not to where he's maybe thinking that he's going to get money-wise. But Dave, what do you think about re-signing Shaq Lawson?
I think it'll be a long journey. He probably wants a lot of money, and I think the Bills kind of feeling it out, see where it goes. I do think the Bills can get it done, though. I do think Brandon Beane, I almost said Russ Brandon. I think Brandon Beane, a little rusty, I think Brandon Beane can get it done if they want to get it done. I don't know what Shaq's looking for money-wise. I don't know if he gives us a homecoming discount or not. He probably shouldn't. He's young. He's going to go in the market and probably make a lot of money. At the end of the day, I don't think this gets done. I don't think the Bills get it done. I think Shaq's going to want way too much money, but we'll see. It'll be fun because we should know more tomorrow or the following day, and then you can see us again, and hopefully Zach will be back. We can talk about it.
Yeah, and it comes down to what is he going to get elsewhere? He may have already been in talks, preliminary talks with other teams, kind of behind the curtain, and found out that maybe that his where he wants to be, that money figure, isn't where he wants it to be. But that's also, we don't really know. Free agency doesn't start for another month, so we got a little time. But
I can't wait for free agency.
I know the offseason's moving along. We just had the NFL Combine, and with Bills fans identifying the fact that we need a wide receiver, which, Dave, do you also agree that we need a true number one wide receiver?
I agree that we need a very good wide receiver. I think that we might have a true number one.
And who? Say it. Say his name.
John Brown, who I put down all last year. But I ate my crow for that. I put some salt and pepper on it, and I will suck it up. Because I do think John Brown is our number one. But for the fun of this podcast, we will discuss some top receivers to see if the Bills so happen to get them.
Yeah, and let's start with someone who made a lot of waves, who ran a really fast 40 time at a 4.27. John Ross's record, of course, is a 4.22. That is Henry Ruggs,
The third
out of Alabama. So, you know, from him being from Alabama, he has that Brian Dable connection. Brian Dable coached him throughout his career at Alabama. Dave, do you have some preliminary kind of opinions on Henry Ruggs III?
I know that he's very hard on himself. He ran the 40 time you said, and he looked great in the workout in underwear, as they call it. Running around in underwear usually is your fastest and looks best. He was not happy with it. He was his biggest critic. He said that he's very disappointed in his pro day, and he will make up for it. He's very disappointed in his combine, and will make up for it in his pro day. I like that. I like a receiver that's hard on himself. I want to be careful of the hothead area, though. Sometimes be happy with what you have, not always pressing for everything. Those Alabama receivers, they produce very good receivers. Look at Julio Jones, for example. Calvin Ridley, a couple of them just to name. I mean, if you can get your hands on a very good Alabama receiver, you got yourself set. I think Ruggs has all the tools. I think, like I said, he looks great in underwear. We'll see. He was hard on himself in his combine, which I think his numbers speak for themselves. They're great numbers. But his pro day should be exciting. We'll keep an eye on Ruggs.
Yeah, and he's a talented kick returner on special teams as well. Also, we have Andre Roberts, that Pro Bowl kick returner and punt returner. But it's always nice to have depth at that position in the event that he goes down.
Do you have Ruggs up on your website right there?
Yeah.
What's his height?
He is 5'11".
Okay, we kind of need kind of a taller receiver, but
yeah, he's getting a lot of kind of hype around because we put out a poll on Twitter. and an astounding amount of people want Ruggs as our selection for the Bills, which may be just the recency bias in terms of he was really flashy at the combine. Only time will tell. In my opinion, yes, I would like to go for a taller receiver. I want the Duke Williams intangibles, but like a Julio Jones kind of package. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
Ruggs in the mock drafts that I see he's going between like 10 and 13. So it might be kind of a stretch to get him, but the Bills fall in love with him. It's not a stretch that they trade for him. So if the Bills want a receiver, they're going to address it.
Yeah, and especially when you get to the NFL league, I mean, the level of competition kind of increases as well. And he had a lot of issues against those physical LSU corners when they played them last year. So also something to look at as well. We want a physical guy. We have speedy guys in Cole Beasley and John Brown. So I don't know if Ruggs kind of fits the mold for the Buffalo Bills. Do you want to know who? You want to take a guess? Who do you want to? Who do you want to go next?
T. Higgins from Clemson. In my opinion, mirror image of Sammy Watkins, the Bills' famous pick. T. Higgins is going in the mock drafts in around the 15-20 area. He's probably the third receiver off the draft board for a lot of teams. The thing with him is we don't know much about him. He did not participate in the combine workout-wise. He met with a lot of teams. I believe he met with the Bills. Am I accurate with that?
You are accurate. He had met with 3 teams publicly, of course. I mean, there's a lot of conversations going on in the combine, but the Broncos, the Patriots, and the Bills have publicly stated that they've met with T. Higgins.
So keeping up on his pro day will be something interesting to see. Jake, I'm sorry to ask you this. Can I see his height on him?
Yeah, he's over 6 foot. Let me take a look. He is
6 foot's kind of what we need. 6'4" is great.
6'4", 216. And it's a really disappointing thing that he did skip his on-field drills because, well, the reason to why he skipped them is he said there was a lack of prep time, but you have to
That's a
anticipate
piss poor
this
answer.
coming.
Yeah.
He ran a subpar 40 time, I mean, dating back all the way in high school, and that's the last recorded 40-yard time that we have for him. So you know that there are questions there. So I guess we'll have to wait for his pro day, but a lot of disappointed scouts and fans in T. Higgins not seeing him kind of show up.
Yeah, I'm disappointed too, but keeping up on his pro day will be exciting because his size fits what we need. But I really would like to see him work out. That's disappointing.
And he did talk a lot. I mean, of course, at the combine, you have all your interviews and things of that nature. And he was really kind of critical on himself as well. He says personally that he needs to kind of complete his full route tree. He thinks his route running can improve, in which a lot of guys out of college, they're not going to have that kind of all-pro route running ability. So it's nice to see that this wide receiver has kind of the know-it-all to identify the problems that he has on the field and is going to correct them as well. So
Yeah. This next guy, he's from Colorado. I do not know how to say his name.
I
I'm
got
having
you.
a hard time with it. Jake, hook me up.
Laviska Shenault from Colorado, 6'2", 4.58 40-yard dash, and 17 reps on the bench press.
One thing about him, the only thing I know about him, well, besides his name being extremely complicated, and I did see him in college a few times play.
Let's say it. Laviska Shenault.
Rolls off the tongue.
Heck yeah.
Mel Kiper has him as his top receiver. Mel Kiper said he had the most impressive combine of any player, not just receiver, of any player. So that'll be, he's going to jump at the boards. Mel Kiper's not the end-all be-all at all. But he is going to move the board because his numbers are great. And there's always one receiver or one player that comes out of not necessarily nowhere, but just shoots up the board, maybe in the top 12. This guy's going to keep an eye on. This guy's probably not a Buffalo Bill come draft day. I'll say that.
Should be disappointing. 6'2", good intangibles. And an NFL scout was quoted as saying, he's like Julio Jones, only bigger. Which, if you have people comparing you to Julio Jones, I mean, you got something going there for you.
Julio Jones, I remember his pro day. It was massive. I think Julio Jones went number 3 overall.
Mm-hmm.
He was, in the Atlanta gave a lot up for him. So this guy's an interesting person to keep an eye on.
And Shenault, he's very versatile as well. He's played all 3 wide receiver spots at Colorado, and he mixes good speed with physicality. So he's kind of like your all-in-one package, which for a team who's been kind of struggling with their passing identity can really be a good thing. You want players that you can plug and play at different positions as well. One thing that he does struggle on is durability is a concern with him, and he's had surgeries on his labrum and toe before the 2019 season. Those kind of turf toe injuries kind of come back to nab you.
Those linger.
But, hey, it's not a knee injury. Those are the kind of things that you worry about with wide receivers. But
The next guy is someone we're going to talk about in depth because it's a player I want, and it's a player that's actually realistic for the Bills to get because he's going to be where we're drafting.
Justin Jefferson?
Justin Jefferson is his name. He ran a blistering 40 time of 4.43. Numbers are great. I don't know his height, and I apologize, guys. His height is...
Oh, I got you. Buddy.
Jake is on it. In the meantime, thoughts and prayers, Zach.
6'1", 202.
6'1", 202. This guy is exactly what the Bills need. This guy is exactly what the fans have been asking for, and what probably Josh Allen's been asking for. He's fast. He's tall. I mean, he's a national champion, and he was their quarterback's number. Burrows. He was Burrow's number one target. So, I mean, this is exactly the guy we want in Buffalo.
We can talk about Zach though. Are you okay?
Let's talk shit. Yeah, what are we doing?
No, we'll save that for after. Justin Jefferson. He's a really speedy guy off the ball. He's got a good initial burst off the snap. He's a naturally instinctive pass catcher as well, which, if you know the Buffalo Bills, we have problem catching balls. I mean, you had Zay Jones last year and the year before dropping a whole bunch of balls. We were leading the league in the amount of dropped passes at some point. So
didn't you tell me before the podcast too that he's good friends or has learned from Trey White too?
Yeah, he has a personal relationship with Tre'Davious White, which, I mean, it's all about connections in the NFL.
I mean, you can't go wrong. And also, Jake, our social media, Jake, our everything guy.
Thank you.
Right here. He put up a poll. Jake, can you tell me a little about that poll?
Yeah, so I had mentioned earlier, I put a poll on Twitter. Who does Bills Mafia want at wide receiver in the NFL draft? About 60 votes so far. It's only been up for about 2 hours.
60 is awesome. Nice work, fans.
T. Higgins at 25%. Henry Riggs at 40%. Justin Jefferson at 16.7%. And Laviska Shenault is at 18.3%. I did put one up on YouTube, but in terms of just sharing results, I think the last time I checked was at 11. So I just wanted to go with the bigger sample size. But we do, on YouTube, of course, appreciate your poll results as well. I just wanted to thank you there. But yeah, I think the reason why people like Henry Riggs is due to the fact that he put up that blazing 40 time. That kind of tantalizes people like, oh, hey, I would like a Tyreek Hill type player on the field for my team. But I mean, there's a lot of things that go into that as well. So.
Yeah, and the other thing is there's so many other receivers. This draft is so loaded. Deep. I mean, we can name them all day because there's just so many. But these are the four that we're feeling very confident about. Or I think these are the top four. These receivers are the top four, I think. And I know we're missing Jerry Jeudy from Oklahoma. He's just not going to be there.
CeeDee Lamb isn't going to be there.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb's. These are realistic picks for the Bills. CeeDee Lamb would be great. I saw him in college, and I actually saw him play. It's just not going to happen.
It'd be very nice.
Though. Yeah, Bills aren't getting him. Realistically, I think the Bills are staying where they're at, and I think Jefferson is a very realistic possibility. Sorry. I haven't talked in a while. I'm excited to talk to you guys.
And, I mean, LSU always brings out amazing products as well. I mean, you look at the players. I mean, you have Odell Beckham Jr. came out of LSU.
Jarvis Landry.
You have these really good physical players coming out of LSU. So him not being kind of more of a front runner in these conversations is great for us because we can get a kind of a generational talent per se, theoretically. So that'd be nice.
One more touch of news that I really want to talk about. There is talk that the Bills might play a game in Mexico with the Arizona Cardinals.
Exactly. So let me explain that. So recently it came out that the Arizona Cardinals are going to be playing a home game in Mexico City. So
we know that deal.
Knowing the Bills play away against the Arizona Cardinals kind of brings a matter of fact of, hey, the Bills might be playing in Mexico, which is fine by me. The Bills can play wherever they want as long as it doesn't take away from one of my home games as a season ticket holder. So, hey, bring it to Mexico City. I know that there was a lot of problems a couple years ago when they played. Like, there were some issues with the turf and things of that nature. Hopefully it'll be early on in the season to where that won't be an issue. Dave, would you want to play in Mexico?
Why wouldn't you? It's an away game that the Bills have a neutral game for. Whenever the Bills played in Toronto, I
Horrible.
thought,
I hated
yeah,
it.
whenever other teams I thought would love to play there because it's a neutral field. Those fans didn't give a shit about the Bills, and I'm sorry to bash you guys, but they didn't. They wanted NFL football, and they got it. They got Russell Wilson having 5 touchdowns games in Toronto. They got those kind of games.
I would disagree with you only in Toronto. I mean, we have a lot of Bills fans in Toronto. Toronto's only like 2 hours away. I do agree with you when you have like something in England. You have a lot of NFL fans.
Yeah.
Sure. But to have a home game there and expect a home field advantage on a neutral site is impossible. The Bills is a little different because you had a lot of Bills fans from Buffalo taking the trip to Toronto, and you also had a decent amount, of course, in Toronto itself, and of course you had your general NFL fans. But I totally agree with you on the neutral sites outside of Toronto.
My feeling is like Bills Mafia is everywhere. We know that. I mean, I'm sure there's tons in Mexico. Arizona is a team specifically that has a lot of young firepower. They still have Fitzgerald too. They have Kyler Murray. They have young receivers. They have
Kenyon Drake.
Kenyon Drake. They have that young defense. They have
Christian
with
Kirk as well.
Chandler Jones. Yeah. So why would you not want to take those home fans away and play in a neutral place? And they have that beautiful home stadium in Glendale too. So I think this would be a win for the Bills. It's also a long shot. It's just a conversation we're having, but I think it would be a nice win for the Bills. Let us know what you think, Bills fans, in the comment section.
Yeah, and we would like to hear from you guys as well about who you think the Buffalo Bills, if they're going to select a wide receiver in the next coming weeks and up until the draft, we will be breaking down different position groups as well. Don't worry, we're not gun-ho on the Buffalo Bills taking a wide receiver, although personally, that's what I would like. You know, there's a lot more positions on an NFL team than the wide receiver. So I think that might wrap us up.
I think we did well.
We are missing Zach. I mean, it's getting a little lonely.
We need the gang back. I was hurting last week. Zach was. You better be careful.
I am the only.
The
constant
plague
of
is
this
hanging
podcast.
over you.
I know. I'm gonna go home and take like a bleach bath.
Don't do that.
Wish me luck.
Well, guys, thanks for listening. That was awesome. Jake, take us home.
Yes, of course. So thank you guys for listening. We had great numbers on the last podcast. We would like to keep that up. So please, if you made it this far, please hit that like button. Hit subscribe if you're not. And Diamond Dave, looks like you want to say something.
And if there's anything you fans want us to talk about, we don't have any problems finding content. We always find things to talk about. We would talk 7 days a week if you wanted. But there's anything
That's a
you
lot of
guys
work.
want us to talk about, you let us know. We can talk all day about anything. I can talk about popcorn for 2 hours. If you guys want to talk about anything, let us know in the comment section, and we will make it happen. I promise.
Popcorn podcast coming soon.
I'm in.
No. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. If you would like to just listen to audio, if you're driving into work one day and say, hey,
What is Diamond Dave up to?
I want to listen to Mad Men Sports, but I don't want to take my eyes off the road. We are on every streaming service possible. We're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're on Podcast Addict, Google Podcasts, whatever you want. We're here for you. Bills Mafia, you have a good week.
Have a good week, guys. Take care.